Hello and welcome. I am Matt Roddy, and this is the Greater Prescott podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, all things Greater Prescott. Today, I'm super excited to introduce to you Mikela. She's going to tell us what she likes to go by, but she is the owner of TheCoppersMane Salon. And thank you so much for being on the podcast this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We started off the morning by, Kel said, I'm not sure that I signed up for, or why did I sign up for 7 a.m.? It's early. Like, I know it's early. So I genuinely appreciate your time.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
a business owner. I have a day job. We're all busy. And so I really appreciate you carving out time. It means a lot to me. And I think other people will also agree once they hear your story.
Oh, awesome. Well, like I said, I'm the one who chose 7, so it's not like it's your fault. It's mine.
That's true. That's true. So to jump into things, let's just kick it off by you giving the people a context of where were you born and raised? What'd you do when you were a kid? Just start to tell your story. Let's have some fun.
Okay. I was born in Bellflower, California, which is actually Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
I spent my younger years going back and forth between Arizona and California with my mom. My grandfather had fallen ill of pancreatic cancer when I was 3. So my mom didn't have a choice at that time to, it was a back and forth thing. We landed in Arizona probably more permanently when I was about, I would say at least 5 or 6.
Okay.
And remained in Arizona. I believe her and my uncle helped my grandmother a great deal. My grandfather, they had a business when I was younger, so of course, when he fell ill, that wasn't something that my grandmother wanted to take on. And so, we've remained in Arizona this whole time.
You mentioned it was in the Phoenix area?
Cave Creek.
Cave Creek area. Okay.
The heart of Cave Creek.
Yeah.
My grandparents owned the very first feed and tack store that was ever in that town.
No way.
So
there was probably hardly anything in the town back then.
Yeah, well, there's feed stores in Phoenix, and once you get further down into Cave Creek Road, and that's now 101 or close to the Camelback Mountain region. But up in the northern Cave Creek area, we were it.
Gotcha.
So, and a lot of that was done also when I wasn't here yet. So
True.
Some of that I don't even know about.
Yeah. When you were growing up in Long Beach, did you go to the beach a lot?
I was so tiny. I mean, we're talking baby. Yeah. So if my parents took me to the beach, I don't know. Growing up, my parents were separated. So when I would go visit my dad, he would take me to the beach.
Okay.
And my grandmother. And so as I got older, I do remember times like that, but not in my younger years.
Not when you're younger. So what'd you do when you lived in Cave Creek growing up?
Oh, man. Horses and dirt bikes was probably just about it. Roaming around barefoot for sure.
So interesting. So my wife grew up in Chandler, and she's just a couple years older than you. And she lived in Chandler, or grew up in a Chandler that didn't have a neighborhood on every corner, had a farm on every corner.
Yeah, or
and
a
she's
ranch.
like, that's what she grew up doing. She didn't do the horses, but like they would always take the dirt bikes out, and they would like take them out 2 miles, right? So like not even far out of town. And now obviously 2 miles is...
You could go riding out your backyard.
Yeah, you could just go riding out your backyard.
And no one cared at the time.
Of course not.
So it was a really, I took it for granted, and now looking back on it, but it was a really good way to grow up.
Absolutely.
A lot of values. You know, I get asked a lot if I'm the only child. I'm my mother's only child, and I get asked a lot if I liked that. Yeah. Well, 1, I don't know any different. And 2, I had 15,000 siblings. They just all had fur. You know, it just it's a little crazy. But I enjoyed
Keep talking. I'm going to check the focus on my camera. Just keep sharing the story.
I enjoyed my childhood very much.
Yeah.
And I have some really great memories with a lot of different people. So being the only child was never hindering, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't even know any different.
Yeah. So it was a really amazing time. And Cave Creek is a lot different now, but when I was growing up, man, it was a lot, which it might actually still be, but it was a lot like Prescott, where everybody knew everybody was friendly. I mean, I could get dropped off at the Circle K at my bus stop and walk all the way to Harold's or the Buffalo Chip where my mom worked.
Yeah.
Or, wherever she was at that time and be perfectly safe.
Yeah.
No one would have bothered me.
Totally. The good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. Do you still enjoy horses? Like, is that...
Yes, so a horse is my favorite animal.
Okay.
I do not own them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I ever will, but I'll tell you, I'll never pass up the opportunity to go riding with like any friends or anybody who wanted to take me along.
Hey, if you guys are listening and have horses, she's looking for a ride.
But they're a lot to take care of. So
of course.
That's and I live on Gail Gardner, so that would be a little difficult. But yeah, I love them and I do miss them. I miss them tremendously.
They're amazing animals.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
And your relationship with a horse is unlike any other relationship you will ever have with another animal.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I've heard that so many times. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that because I haven't experienced, it's hard to have that connection. That's what everyone keeps saying.
Yeah. It's very true.
So it must be true.
Very true.
Yeah. So you went to high school in...
I went to high school in Prescott Valley.
Oh, yeah, because you'd moved up here.
Yeah, we had moved up here. We followed my grandmother. I was here by the time I was 13.
Okay.
I went to... middle school, 1 year middle school in Dewey at Bradshaw Mountain Middle. And then I went to the high school in Prescott Valley. I graduated in 2004.
Okay.
During my junior year, I was accepted into FIDM in Irvine, California, which is, now I can't even think of what the initials stand for, but it was an interior design school.
Oh, okay.
Very prestigious one. They do other things, fashion design, it's just a design.
Umbrella.
And my dad passed away my senior year. Wow. So I pulled my letter of resignation.
Okay.
They were, or not resignation, of acceptance.
Yeah.
The school was amazing. They were very understanding. Yeah. And I stayed close to home.
Okay.
And my mom, bless her heart, she told me it was a very hard time.
That's a very vulnerable age.
Very.
And you're about to make a whole lot of big life decisions and changes and
when you're that young, you have a lot of unanswered questions.
Of course.
So I think my mom could recognize that. Yeah. And she just told me, she said, Mikela, I don't care what you do. You can go to school, you can work, but you have to do something.
Yeah, right.
So,
hey, well said. Good job, Mama. No, because really, you really just needed the support. You needed someone to say,
and she was great. But at the end of it, I think she wanted me to. I was doing so well, and I think she wanted me to continue to do well.
Of course.
So what I did was I took the job offer at Harley Davidson in Scottsdale.
Okay. I
enrolled in a beauty school, an Aveda beauty school down there.
All right.
And that was what I did.
Yeah.
I did not end up attending that school. I remember being accepted and coming back to Prescott, and I did beauty school here.
Okay. What job did you take at Harley Davidson?
I worked in what they call motor clothes, so I worked in the clothing department.
Yeah, totally.
And while I was in Scottsdale, at the time it was called Hacienda Harley. I just busted my butt, and I got certified to work in every different department that I could.
Gotcha.
It was super fun. I loved it.
What drew you to Harley? Was it the apparel at that time that you're just like a natural fit?
No, my first job was at Golden Corral.
Yeah.
And here in Prescott. Oh yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. And we were hosting a hog night. So hog chapters belong to Harley Davidson motorcycle groups.
Yeah.
And we were hosting one night. And the manager of the mayor's store was there working like behind the counter with me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, he went and grabbed the manager or the owner of Golden Corral.
Yeah.
And we were standing in the front, and he said, "I'm going to steal your girl," and just said, "Would you want to come work at the Harley shop? This is what it pays."
Okay.
And I like looked at Joel at the time. That's who owned
owner.
GC, which he might still. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like blushed because I thought like somebody was pranking me. Like is
this for real? Like, pinch me.
So anyways, he hired me, and I took that position.
Okay.
And then the manager that I had at Harley at the time, she took a position in Scottsdale and then wanted me to come with her.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that worked. And it was really nice because that manager at Harley knew my story. She knew my dad had just passed. She knew that I pulled my acceptance letter from FIDM. She knew what I was going through. And I think she just wanted me to flourish, which was really freaking cool. So that's kind of how that, and it's so, sometimes it's so emotional to talk about my dad, and then other times I'm like, you know, like it's been so long, and
but still,
So anyways,
my dad passed of a sudden heart attack almost 10 years ago. And there's some things that come up that you're just like, oh my gosh. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
He was in was he in California?
At the time? He was in California. Okay. He was diabetic, and he did not care for himself the way that he should have, and you know, it was his decision.
Of course.
And gosh, I miss him.
Man, so my father was a drag racer. So literally 2 weeks ago, my mom forwards me a YouTube video of a 1980s race in like Louisiana where my dad is racing. And it just, it's like brought tears to my eyes. Like I haven't seen anything like that for years.
Me either. I love drags, all kinds.
I grew up at the circle track. My parents, I'll go on a little tangent. This is about the most I've probably shared on my own podcast.
That's okay.
I'm waiting for someone to like interview me, like be on the other side of the table. So my parents met at the drag strip. My dad was a very prolific drag racer, had done very well. And so I love cars, like the automotive industry still.
We have that in common.
Man, I love cars. I really want a motorcycle. My wife's going to hear this, and she does not want me to get a motorcycle. All that to say, I'm an automotive enthusiast at heart. And I want a motorcycle because I want to just get away for an hour for a ride. I don't want a daily one. I just want to just get out. And actually, I never wanted to really own one until I moved to Prescott because in the Phoenix area where I was before, I don't want a motorcycle down there. It's just too crowded. But here, I feel like I can get out of town so quickly on some really fun, windy roads and just I don't know, burn some steam. Just get out. So
I can definitely empathize with that feeling. I can say with full confidence I will most likely never get on a motorcycle ever again. But I did grow up with them, and I spent a good portion of my late teens to mid-20s on a dirt bike and or a quad. And there's something about being on on a vehicle like that again doesn't compare to anything else.
No, that's it.
But that was one of my favorite parts of being in Glamis. At nighttime, we would go to the drags, and it was like, you know, people might go out there from time to time and be like, why is this so interesting? But the horsepower of a vehicle is, I mean, those vehicles out there, like, there is nothing. There's just nothing like a trophy truck. Really, those are my favorite.
I met a guy who lives in Williamson Valley who has a trophy truck.
That does not surprise me. And I bet it was beautiful if you got to see it.
No, I just saw the photos on my Facebook. But anyway, if you don't know what a trophy truck is, then you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But a trophy truck is the trophy of all trucks. So that's one little tangent. Love cars.
Yep.
Love bikes.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back on track with your story.
Okay.
Because I'm good at going on. I could go on. That's, you know what? One of the things in my podcast, I could go on tangents for hours. We could literally just talk for hours.
Well, and especially when you meet someone that you're very interested in their story and what they're doing. I feel the same. The same.
And story, that's the word that I want to tell right here. I want people to learn your story. So you work at Harley down in the valley. Then what brings you back up here? Was it time for beauty school, basically? Like you decided...
My idiot boyfriend.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I was in a really immature, unsuccessful relationship, and we had gotten engaged, and I did not realize that he was going to propose. And so there were a few things that I think I felt at that age I needed to see for myself. So I left the position. By the time I left at Harley, I pretty much had already realized if I'm going to stay in this industry, this is what's going to be required of me. And I'm not actually sure that I want that. So there was a lot of unknowns.
I'm glad you learned that.
Figuring out what I want, what I don't want.
Yep.
And then I have this toxic relationship that I know in my heart is toxic, but there, like I said, there are things that I need to find out for myself. So I come back, I start beauty school, Artistic Beauty College, which no longer exists. I get through that as quickly as possible because I'm working part-time at a little salon in Prescott Valley. Okay. And I get rolling. And so the little salon was just a fantastic Sam's in Prescott Valley. Okay. Great place to start at that time. They might still do this, but I don't know regionally. They pay for your continuing education. So any classes I wanted to take, even as a receptionist, I got to take them. Yeah.
I think more businesses should do that.
Yeah. And I got to watch these phenomenal stylists that I was actually working with. Like, just because they were at Fantastic Sam's, I mean, these girls could cut hair. Totally. Like, oh, awesome. And a few girls particularly I still talk to. Aww, so I love that. Awesome. And so when I was 20, the owners at that time, which are not the owners of it now, had told me, we're out of a manager. We're opening the Prescott location. Okay. We need someone to open the Prescott location, and we need someone to design it. Will you do that? Because, again, they knew my original plan. Yes. So, but Fantastic Sam's is different in the sense that I don't just get to go to town. I have to choose between a floor plan. I have to choose one of their approved paint colors. Makes sense. But still, it kind of helped them because they had to let go of the manager that was supposed to open that store. Okay. And no one else really wanted it. Yeah. The only reason I took it was because it was supposed to be a 6-month plan. Okay. I was not supposed to stay in that management position. I felt like I was too young. I felt like I did not have the experience. Right. So, unfortunately, they did not uphold their side of things, and it made things very stressful for me. So I left after a year. Okay. And I went into another commission-based salon here in town, which, was very beneficial while it was running its course. Yeah. I gained a clientele, and I eventually left that salon. Okay. I went booth rental far too early, but it was a really good decision. It ended up being a good decision for me. I call that salon my stepping stone salon. Yep. It no longer exists, and it was a shit show. But it was a really great learning experience as well. So I did that, and then I took off to North Carolina for a couple months. Okay. And then I came back, and that was when I started working at Adrenaline. Gotcha. And that was the longest salon home I've had for 7 years. Okay. I'm still very proud of that salon. Absolutely. I'm still very proud to have been there. And I do miss it. Yeah. Yeah. So I made the right decision to leave, but I think I will always remember that hair home. I mean, 7 years is that's a long time.
I've had 2 jobs, or I had one job that I was at for 5 years. I feel like it will be ingrained in my head, and that's fine. Like, it's 5 years. That's a long, long time. Yeah. Sorry for the people who worked for the same person, company for 30 years. Like, 5 years, still a long time.
It is.
7 years is still
and a the other time. Thing that I think you and many other people can empathize with is when you leave a job position, no matter, I left FS to make myself greater. Each salon I went to, it was almost moving up. And I feel very fortunate as a hairstylist because there are a lot of individuals out there, both men and women, that never find an environment that they truly love, that they're truly comfortable with, that they don't get a stomachache going into. Salons can be so very catty. It doesn't have to be like that. And with my experience, it wasn't. Like, even with my stepping stone salon, when the cattiness started to draw in, I was out of there. Yeah. So I think that a lot of people misunderstand that you don't have to take that. And if that's not the environment you want to be in, don't be in it.
If it's not the right fit, I think you bring up a really, really good point, and it's just from a global view, it is really hard to make decisions to pull away from things or leave things when you sense something is not right. and still making the decision and moving on, not knowing what the future holds. Like it is
absolutely, and money.
Exactly. There's so many things that go on, and you speak to it. We all have had decisions that we have made, or frankly not made, that we look back and go, man, I wish I felt it in my stomach that I ought to have made a change.
Yeah.
And how often we make a change and we go, I am so glad I kind of listened to myself. Like I had that gut feeling that something just, it maybe wasn't a good fit.
And always listen to that.
And you went with it, and then look what happens.
Oh yeah. When I was at my second commission-based salon after Fantastic Sam's, I had maybe $50 in my checking account and nothing in savings. Maybe a little bit in savings, not much. And I left to go to a booth rental salon where everything is my responsibility. But the interesting thing to me is, number one, I had so much support when I made that move, not only from my family, but my boyfriend at the time, his family, and my boyfriend's support at that time. And so that meant everything to me.
Huge.
But I'm moving from one commission-based salon, which a lot of individuals view as safe, to a booth rental salon, which is more risk.
Of course.
But the thing is it wasn't any more safe. That particular salon and the way that things were being run and how we were being paid was not any more safe. And I just felt like, well, F this, I can do this on my own. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So, but I could totally understand why somebody would stay or not make a move, because especially if they have a family or bills,
it can be scary.
You need the money.
You do. Yeah.
And me over here, I was like, I'll go back to Golden Corral if I have to. Like, I can't be here anymore.
Yeah. I last week or a couple weeks ago, I had she's a singer-songwriter, Candace Devine, and
she's amazing.
She spoke to this period in time where she was literally working for a burger joint, serving burgers to people who literally had bought her album, but she just had to make ends meet. And so we just had this conversation that's like, sometimes you just got to make stuff happen. Like it don't be sad because you have a job that you think people will frown upon. If it allows you to get by or do whatever you need to do, just do it.
Well, and I think there is something to love about every position that you're in, but it's all about how you look at it.
It's
like,
so
I loved
important.
Golden Corral. I love that freaking job. I met so many good ladies there.
Isn't that funny?
And my manager was freaking awesome. You know, I wasn't mistreated, and I was relied upon greatly because I was reliable. But I mean, aside from that, I got my paychecks on time. They let me eat there. Like, if I requested time off, they granted it to me. So, and I think that when you're in your environment too, I know that sometimes people around us can make things kind of crummy, but you have to make it too. You have to make that environment too.
Absolutely.
You have to work with your team members. And there are several times where I can look back and wish that I would have been more of a team member, or I would have done things differently because I've learned things.
Naturally. Hey, it happens when you get old like us. No, you learn. You learn from your mistakes, and obviously that's why we look to older people for wisdom sometimes, because they've been there, done that.
We need a lot of it.
We do, right? And also, real quick, touching on people who are supportive. It's so important to find people who can support you, and also who they don't just give in to your every whims, of course. But at the same time, hey, you give them sort of the information on something that you're going through, and you ask for their support, and they're there. It's so comforting, because we all have those. Hopefully we all have someone in our life, like my mom is, and of course my wife. They're just so supportive.
Same.
It's amazing.
Yeah, my family, my husband is incredibly supportive. I have friends that are supportive. I also think that it's important to gain the confidence to always support yourself, because there are going to be times, I've really recognized this, especially in the last year, and it has been very difficult for me. People have seen this quote all over the interwebs. Not everyone loves like you do, and not everyone supports like you do. So I have had friends, good acquaintances, other businesses that I have supported. it may seem like they don't support me the way that I support them. So in those low times, even if that isn't the reality, and don't get the two confused. So even if that isn't the reality, you always have to remember that if you're about to do something big or it feels big to you, you must support yourself no matter what. You must always say, this is what I want.
Yep.
I know that this is what is best, and I don't care if I'm surrounded or not. I'll do it alone.
Right.
And I that is honestly one of my biggest lessons from this past year. And it's hard. It's hard to swallow. But I do feel like it's so important to talk about, because those feelings, they're devastating to me. And the more that I suppress them, the more it upsets me.
Harder it gets. Of course.
So I just feel like, I don't know if the whole world thought that me opening a salon was awesome, but I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And I wish that some of the people that I love so dearly would have shown up for my grand opening.
Of course.
But they didn't. And so it's not intentional, but you have to remember that in those moments where you think it might be, pull yourself out of that.
Totally.
Support yourself anyways. Just say, oh, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. Everything's okay. That's not intentional. Don't take it personally.
Right. Yeah. So that's a perfect segue. I want you to tell everyone where we are, what you do, when you open, and let's start to give people a flavor for what's going on now.
What is going on now? A lot. So I guess for a lot of people who may not know me, my name is Mikela, and I own TheCoppersMane hair salon in Prescott, Arizona. I opened a year ago, November 4th. It's a very small salon. The space that we're in is just under 800 square feet.
Okay.
I never thought that I would ever want to own a salon. I avoided it for so long because going back to what we previously spoke about, I have always been happy in my hair homes.
Right.
And but it almost seemed as though God was kind of pushing me in that direction or giving me signs that it was time. Saying I'm a lot. That is why I'm here.
You're being contemplative.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm asking you questions, and oftentimes after the fact, my guests go, I haven't actually said a lot of that before, or I really it's kind of just crystallized during the podcast. So take your time. Yeah.
It was honestly the next step. There isn't anything, there isn't any one thing. There are several things,
of course,
that I have collected over the course of my 14 years as a hairstylist that have brought me here.
Okay.
It was an opportunity, and Adam tried to get me to do it when I had decided I wanted to leave adrenaline, and I just wasn't ready.
Okay.
I wasn't ready for the financial commitment. I wasn't ready for the overhead. I wasn't ready for the responsibility of it. I wasn't ready. And when I started looking for a space, July of 2018, I think
or 19. It would have been 19. Yeah, 19.
There are no studios here.
What does that mean?
So a lot of times a stylist, for one reason or another, will acquire, go and rent, get the keys to a little studio, which is about as big as this front room.
Okay.
Has your shampoo bowl, your chair, your mirror, and you decorate as you please. You pay your monthly rent. It's essentially the same thing as running your own business.
I gotcha. Yeah.
But you don't have to manage anyone else.
Right.
There's nothing like that here.
Okay.
And if there is, it's not in plentiful.
Yeah.
They're not everywhere. So in some states they have this thing called sola salons.
Okay.
Where it's a whole freaking building of all these little studios. And if you're a nail tech, esthetician,
I remember going to one in the Phoenix area. Oh my gosh,
absolutely.
What is this thing?
And Phoenix salons is especially big. Salon Suites is especially big in Tucson.
Okay.
Where you're from.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're just not here. So I found this little spot and I was like, well, I can make that work. Yeah. And I love it when people tell me what to do with my business. That's super fun too. But originally I was just going to run the little stylist suite, just me in the back. And then I decided to put in a second station after lots of months of thought.
Okay.
But I never intended on having anyone with me.
Okay.
That was never a thing. And when my comment about people telling you what to do with your business is, it's so funny when people like sit down in that room and they're like, oh, well, you should put a second station because then you could just, have the money. And I'm like, okay, let's back up a little bit. That's not really an accurate business plan, but, or at least the one that I have. But, so anyways, there's just, when I was looking for a space, finding the right space was very challenging. A lot of spaces for rent right now are very big.
Okay.
And that's not what I want.
No.
I don't even know if I want that now.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, there's not a lot of detail to it. It was time. And like I said, many details over the course of 14 years of things that I knew. I'm like, if I just find another nice salon to work in, I'm going to run into the same issue.
Probably.
I'm going to run into the same issue of mismanagement, no education. And just a few of the other things that I've seen in salons that I'm like, gosh, you guys, it doesn't have to be this way at all. But I feel like a lot of stylists all over the world, not just here, live in a bubble. They work in a bubble, and I no longer wanted to be in a bubble.
Yeah. All right. In a couple sentences, so that I have a nice audio clip, what is it that you would say you specialize in?
Color and natural beaded rows extensions.
Okay.
And that's currently the only clientele that I am accepting at this time.
All right.
So that's how I'm so excited. That's how things will progress for me. And I did never expect to do that either. So
which part?
The extensions.
Okay. How did you get introduced to that and get into it?
I was working at a salon here in Prescott, with two other girls. One being one of my best friends and one being a new friend of mine. We had just started working together, and my best friend has done tape-in extensions for quite a few years.
Okay.
And so I was familiar with the idea of extensions, but I really didn't want anything to do with them. There are many methods out there that can be damaging, and I just really wasn't interested. So my new friend and coworker comes in the salon one day, and she's like, Mick, she calls me Mick. She says to me, you got to see this video I found. I've already shown it to Jamie, and we're in, and you have to be in too. And I was like, what are you talking about, girlfriend? So you have to imagine, this is in December. I had just moved to this new salon in November. So I've only been there for 30 days. This friend and I are brand new, and this education is $1,000. And I don't have anything against spending money on education. I did it for many years, but the transition was brand new. We had just bought a house, like all the things. And I was like, girlfriend, I cannot shell out money for that right now. And she's like, no, we're going, we're in, and you can't, I'm not leaving you here. You cannot not come with us. And I was like, damn, that's kind of sweet. If you know me well, I'm very big on being included. I love to be included. Even if my answer is no, I still love being included. And so I pulled together the money, I signed up, and I thought, for $1,000, I've got to learn something. It'll be worth it. I get to bond with these coworkers. Even my best friend and I are bonded, but not as coworkers at the moment. So we drive out to California. The education is so fun and so phenomenal. And the extension method was just like mind-blowing. The whole experience was really invigorating. And I was in. That was it. That was all it took. All three of us moved forward and, kept doing the method and really enjoyed it. And so it just was one of those things that I, again, never thought I would do. And here I am. And it's been a really amazing experience. And it's been so much fun. And it is really... It's changed the trajectory of my career in the best way I could have ever imagined.
That's often how things work when we step out into the unknown and do something, and then something happens and we go, oh my gosh, and then this new avenue opens up, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's so important. Like, I feel I'm losing a sense of the term that I want to use, but for lack of a better word, I feel like that one experience that's led me here was the only reason I ended up at that salon. I feel like that was
Right?
it. That was the whole reason I was led there. That was the whole meaning behind it. That was everything. And that to me that's pretty trippy to
awesome.
feel so strongly about that.
That is awesome.
I do.
I'm glad you stepped out.
Yeah.
The reason I'm here is because I stepped out when I was doing real estate a couple years ago and started doing some video stuff. And you asked before the podcast, how did you learn how to do it?
Yeah, where's your experience
Well,
come
just
from?
YouTube and then doing it and then sort of iterating and changing little things here and there. And now I'm sitting here. Like there's no, because I stepped out, period.
It's important.
It is. And so I always.
Like, this is a huge step out for me.
Good.
You know,
Yay.
when I had posted you on my Instagram, I never thought to myself, oh, I'm going to end up on his
funny.
podcast, or I want to be on. It was never like that. It was just like, oh my gosh, I love this dude. And I love what he posts.
Good.
And I love the people that he talks to. And I love that he takes the time to talk to them. We got the chance to talk a little bit about that. So this is a step out
Good
too.
job. I've had a couple people on here that when I initially contacted them, they basically said, I am not going near that chair. And then one of the ladies, like 3 weeks later, she was on the podcast. I mean, granted, it wasn't long ago you and I talked. But yeah. Stepping out, it's how things work in life. And it's hard.
It is
I've
hard.
got kids and they get, you and I are no different. We get scared. For whatever reason, and we're always trying to teach our kids, just try it, just step out,
just do it.
You never know.
Well, and the people around me, like, I have a good friend who recently told me, you take every opportunity and don't ever say no. And to me, one, it's coming from a man. That's a man friend. And I'm thinking to myself, he's always been more of a daring person than me. He's always taken more risk. But I think, too, that it's those people, and even if it's not accurate for him, it probably is for some of my other friends and family. They probably see something in me that I don't. Because even as you were setting up, and I was like, nobody cares about what I'm doing. But maybe somebody does. I don't know. And I think, too, I've been in this town since I was in high school. So I feel like the only people are watching me are people I went to high school with. But that's not accurate.
It's not.
At all.
I know.
For one, I don't even know if those people even know where I am.
Right.
Or that I stayed here.
Totally.
Or that I came back after I left. So I do feel like it's important to step out. And I think that it's important to share your story, even if you think
to you it seems rote
in.
Because you have lived it, and but to the rest of us, we don't know you, and we like to learn about you, and your story is important.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope I hope it helps someone in the industry, and even if they're not in the industry, if you're in a different industry, I put a video up recently about marketing yourself. And
yes. So share a little bit about that, and not just that post specifically, but some of the stuff that you've been learning about marketing, because it's a huge passion of mine as well.
Marketing?
So let's talk about that a little.
Well, number one, I wish that I would have paid more attention to marketing, or the option to learn about more marketing maybe in college when I was in high school. I wish I don't live in regret, but I wish that it's something that I would have just paid a little bit more attention to, because I feel like stylists, we're not taught in beauty school to market ourselves, put ourselves out there, tell the whole world where we are and what we're doing. We're not taught that. And it's really quite unfortunate, because
it's a travesty.
We're valuable. During coronavirus and the closures and everything, I had an acquaintance that was just talking to me through social media, and I had explained to her, what about these people that are in nursing homes and they need podiatry care and they need scalp care? Scalp carries so much bacteria. And if you do not take care of that, that could be very detrimental to the person. What about skincare? What about showers? What about all of this personal care? Who do you think does that? Like, the nurses don't do it. That's not something that they focus on. That's not what they're there to focus on.
Right.
So my heart during that time was breaking because I just remember my grandmother being in a care facility after her surgery. And I remember thinking, you better wash your hair. Like what I think about, even when you just go camping and you're out in the dirt and then you get home and you get to take this glorious shower, and like how you feel and how a shower makes you feel. Like we aren't just here to provide a luxury. We're here to care for you.
Right.
And what I'm learning in marketing, it's not so much the marketing, although I'm learning a lot of that too. It's that I'm freaking important.
Yeah.
And finding value in myself as a professional has really been a game changer in the last 2 to 3 years.
Good.
You know? And I'm not in the hair industry. I'm in the sales industry.
100%. So that's what I learned when I started as a realtor. That's actually what has brought me to this, is that I wasn't doing real estate. I was doing marketing. Yeah, I had my real estate license, but at the end of the day, you're in marketing. So that's where I started getting really interested in, well, just realizing that's the game. Like that's the punchline. You have to learn marketing.
Yeah, it's just, and I think that everybody should value themselves and what they bring to their job position. It doesn't matter the industry.
Amen.
And you know, I've not experienced this as much as other hairdressers, but you'll hear stylists, cosmetologists, nail techs. You'll hear even maybe massage therapists, estheticians. You'll hear the comment, "Just a hairstylist." And man, I've not received that a whole lot, but I'm getting real sick and tired of hearing that other ladies or a gentleman have. Because to me, it's no different than servers hear it too. Oh, they're just a waitress. Oh, they're just a bartender. Fool, I couldn't be a waitress if my life depended on it, you know?
Me.
So I feel like when you market yourself, you're letting the world know what I do is important and I enjoy what I do and I want you to come see me.
Yep.
So even on my video when I was like, I don't care if you're a barista, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
You know, bring attention to yourself. If you like what you do, tell people that. And don't let anyone put you down for it.
Amen.
So that's
well said.
Kind of how I feel.
Yeah. No, it is really important to market yourself no matter what you do.
Yeah, totally. I wish I would have had it sooner, but
hey,
we're here now.
Exactly.
And I've had a good road.
Good.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And I also want you to speak to, why are you here in Greater Prescott?
Oh, I love it here. I love it here. My family's here. Okay. My mom, my stepdad, they're here. And I do really enjoy it here. I can't say I'll never leave, or I can't say, you know, Adam and I haven't discussed for future plans. But I'm here because I enjoy it. Yeah. My business is here. I enjoy having my business here. And, oh man, I think I'm even more grateful going through what we just went through, or are going through, I guess, if you want to say it, because I just feel like it's been an environment where, sure, our community wants to be careful, but business as usual. Yeah. And that's really what makes the world go around, is business as usual.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. We could get on to a long tangent about how important business is to our country.
Yeah, our country, everything.
Yes,
really.
I agree. All right. To wrap it up, 2 short sections. Number 1, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. And then I want you to give all your contact information to the people. Okay. And I'll put that up. Okay. So let's start with the rapid fire question section. Ooh. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about Greater Prescott?
Probably the forest.
What's your favorite restaurant in Greater Prescott?
Ooh, Fujiyama's.
What's the number 1 thing on your Greater Prescott bucket list?
It has to be in Prescott?
Just give us something.
Oh man, I really want to go. One of my biggest things is I really want to go to Antelope Canyon. I've never been up there. All the years I've ever lived here.
It doesn't ring a bell.
Antelope Canyon is, I believe, up near Lake Powell. and it's a cavern. It's beautiful.
That's what all the pictures are of.
Yes.
Yeah, if you see the swirls like looking up, that's it.
Okay. I know that it's not here, and I know that there are beautiful things here.
That's Greater Prescott. Works for me. Absolutely. No, those are some of the most beautiful photos.
I would just love it.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you bring that up. One of the items on my bucket list is to go to Lake Powell on a houseboat and just get way up in there and go have.
And Lake Powell is amazing because it was filled for one specific reason, and that is electricity.
I know. It's crazy.
So crazy.
It's really cool.
You'd love it. You should go.
I usually ask people, what's your favorite But I'm not sure what to ask you. Because I don't really what's your favorite hairstyle, or I'm trying to think of a good thing. I just failed on that question. Next question. What are 3 words to describe living in Greater Prescott?
Ooh, peaceful. 3 things. Gosh. I feel like they should be coming out rapid fire. I feel like I should have 5 to 10, but it's very peaceful for me. It's very gosh. That's a hard one.
Yeah. Next question. If you weren't a hairstylist, then what would you be doing?
Probably focusing more on my oils business or working with animals to some degree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know necessarily that I would want to be in a vet's office just because a lot of times that can be sad. I guess working with animals altogether can be sad, but I would want to work with animals to some degree. Yeah. Absolutely.
Last question. What's your favorite summer activity in Greater Prescott?
Anything having to do with the water or anything having to do with the forest. I mean, I could spend all day, every day outside. Yeah. Any of those.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some of the reasons my family and I moved here, just to be outdoors. It's amazing, the variety, the diversity.
I guess maybe that's what should have been rapid fire for Prescott is I love how it's so fresh and clean here. You go hiking and it is just, I just love that. I really love the whole town, to be honest. Yeah.
I agree. I could not agree more. So, I'm just backtracking now.
That's okay.
What's a good question to ask you for what's your all-time favorite something?
What's the question you're reading?
What's your all-time favorite bonbon? That's to Tracy at Black Butterfly. So she makes bonbons for a living.
Oh, okay.
There was a musician who I asked, who's your favorite all-time, music artist or something?
Mine would be Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Let's see, something to do with hair. So sometimes I get asked, what is my favorite thing to do? And we all know that I love color and extensions because we already covered that. I'm going to step into the realm of being a brunette specialist.
There we go.
A lot of hairstylists are, they love blonde or they love hair cutting and I really want to step into brunettes. Not doing solely brunettes, but really... Yeah. I love it. I love a multi-dimensional brunette.
I love that you love a multi-dimensional
I'm so passionate.
brunette.
Sometimes people probably think I'm nuts, but maybe
we're
I am.
all like that in our own way. So never forget that.
True.
If you ask me some questions, you'd figure out where I'm a nerd, basically.
Yes, I'm such a nerd.
And that's a good thing. And that's one reason I like this format, because you get to learn these quirks of people. That's fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, to wrap things up, look at the camera, tell everyone company name, contact information, how they can reach you. Again, tell them one more time what you specialize in. Give the people the information.
Okay, people. Again, my name is Mikela, and I own TheCoppersMane Salon. Contact info. You want a phone number?
Sure. Whatever the easiest way is. I'll also put all this up.
Okay, so easiest way is by phone, which is 928-830-8919. Email is also great if you'd like to do that. I receive email at mkcreativebeauty@gmail.com. I also have an Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on that more than anything.
What's your handle?
Mikela.TheCoppersMane Salon.
Okay. And I'll put all that up so that people can
absolutely.
click over to it. I realized I missed. You are married.
I'm married.
But we didn't, and you mentioned Adam a couple of times, and it was in the middle of stuff. Just tell everyone about being married, when you were married, and to whom.
Adam and I got married in May, and we've been together for 4 years.
Okay.
He's a wildland firefighter. Super great guy. Being married right now is much like it was when we were just engaged or dating. We've owned a home together for 3 years.
Okay.
So anybody who is with their spouse can imagine that that's a lot of the same. But yeah, things are going great. Of course, we got married in fire season, so he's been gone pretty much our whole entire marriage. But
that sounds challenging.
we stay in close contact, and it works for us.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job, Adam. Is there anything that we didn't cover that the people need to know?
Oh my goodness. We covered a lot.
Good.
Matt.
Good. I enjoyed hearing your story.
Oh, thank you.
It's what I really want to come out of this is for people to get a sense of who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Oh.
And so thanks for sharing your passion. And I'm glad that there are people like you doing what you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We need
That's
it.
so sweet.
We need we need people that do what they do. And it's fun how you specialize in certain things. And that's perfect. So those are the types of people that I want to contact you.
Yeah, me too. I think it's important for people to indulge in self-care. And hair is definitely one of them because it is very much a feeling no matter what you have done. Yeah.
Well, my wife would probably say yeah.
Yes.
I'm saying yeah for I think probably the ladies out there.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I mean, I like getting a haircut too.
Heck yeah. Straight shave. I mean, it's just this industry is very important to me.
Good.
Very. So thank you
and
for
that came
letting
across.
me share that.
So I appreciate you sharing
good.
everything.
Good.
Well, let's wrap it up. I appreciate your time. I really do.
Thank you.
I look forward to getting this out and chopping it all up and getting people these fun little sound bites and things like that.
Awesome.
And thanks again for your time.
Absolutely.
So guys,
thank you
very much for watching. I'll put all of her information up and reach out to her. She's an awesome resource. At the very least, what I always tell the viewers is that if you have any questions, you're the expert. Come ask her. Like that's what you guys do. You're the experts. So
and a lot of us hold complimentary consultations. So if ladies just really want to have their questions answered, and I feel like it's very important to know that they can do that.
Awesome. So there you guys go. Thank you so much for your time.